Hey guys, what is up? It is me, Pagey, here once again with another video on Arrow Season 7. So at the end of Arrow Season 6, we saw Oliver Queen arrested and sent off to prison for his role as the Green Arrow, as well as clearing the names of others that had been hit as the holder of that mantle over the years, such as Tommy Merlin and Roy Harper. And since the finale, fans of the show have been wondering when Oliver would be getting out of prison, and there are a large amount that want Oliver out of there fairly quickly into Season 7 due to the fear that it could get repetitive, and also seeing as Oliver is the star of the show, you want to be hanging out with him when stuff is happening in Star City and not necessarily people like Renee, Dinah, Felicity, or even Diggle, which has happened in previous seasons and not be that well received from fans. But according to Stephen Amell, who of course plays Oliver Queen aka the Green Arrow, we shouldn't be expecting Oliver to just casually walk out of prison come the end of episode 1. This isn't going to be a Flashpoint scenario. So Stephen Amell was speaking to comicbook.com during San Diego Comic-Con over the weekend and gave a bit of a hint that Oliver could be spending a bit longer behind bars than many may be expecting. So Stephen had this to say, and he does refer to an influence, which we will jump into after. I don't know if that's going to influence it, but Oliver is definitely in jail, and I think he's going to be in jail, longer than people expect. Now, the influence that Stephen isn't quite sure about is that of Green Arrow Escape from Supermax, which was of course the cancelled Green Arrow movie from around 10 years ago that we have brought up from time to time since the middle point to back half of last season, when it was rumoured that they were about to adapt the script into the show for an arc, and through to the point where we found out that Oliver was actually going to prison towards the end of season 6. For those that aren't that familiar with Green Arrow Escape from Supermax, this story would have had Green Arrow end up locked in prison, this prison actually being the same prison that Oliver is in for this season of Arrow, might I say, that being Slabside, and he wasn't there for a crime that he did not commit. So with the TV show, Oliver was Green Arrow, and that's why he's in prison, so he technically did commit the crime, so it's a bit of a change there. Oliver was locked up behind bars with some of the very villains that he took down, as well as some other famous villains which he didn't take down, such as Joker, Riddler, and I think even Penguin was supposed to be in that prison in the script as well. But he worked with villains such as Icicle to escape from Supermax, like the title of the movie says. Now, even though the people behind the camera on the show and even the people in front of the camera on the show haven't confirmed this is what they're going for this season, the fact that he is in prison does suggest that this is exactly what they are going for. But even the synopsis says, yo, we are pretty much doing this. I mean, this is actually a part of the synopsis for Arrow Season 7. Oliver will come face to face with many of the criminals he placed behind bars as he makes a new home for himself at Slabside Maximum Security Prison. In regards to the criminals that Oliver will be coming face to face with that he himself had put behind bars, we know thanks to the trailer for Arrow Season 7 from Comic-Con that Derek Sampson, Brick, and Bronze Tiger will all be returning for Oliver's time in prison. And you never know, one or more of them could maybe help Oliver get out. It's unlikely, but it's a possibility. If I had to pick one of these villains that we saw in the trailer that could help Oliver out, and not necessarily because he wants to, but mainly because he could possibly get out as well, I would pick Brick, or Danny Brickwell. It is going to be interesting to see how these villains interact with Oliver, as well as to see who else is in this prison. I'm sure we will be seeing more villains than just Derek Sampson, Bronze Tiger, and Brick. Let me know in the comments who else you would want to see in this prison. But it isn't just past villains that Oliver might have locked up that he should be worried about. As we saw in the trailer, Oliver does get targeted in the shower. Obviously he beats down on them, but he was targeted. And this could be a hit organised from the outside from someone like, Ricardo Diaz, who is still pretty salty following Arrow Season 6. Or even just anyone with power that Oliver or the Green Arrow has pissed off in the past, because if the Green Arrow mess with them, they now know who exactly he is, and he's in a bit of a, confined area, and he's pretty vulnerable. But in regards to an actual episode count for how long Oliver will be in prison, let's go over that right now. So as I was saying, let's not get a Flashpoint situation where it only lasts one episode. Obviously, we want to avoid that. But a thing to remember going into this season is that we aren't picking up straight after the end of Season 6, unlike The Flash, who is picking up straight after the end of their last season, might I say. We are picking up after the usual time jump that the Arrowverse shows tend to have, which is around 5 months. So for the sake of this point, Oliver has been in there for exactly 5 months when we pick up in Season 7, Episode 1. So for me, I could see the perfect amount being, 4 episodes of Oliver in prison when we pick up. And then he gets out at the end of that 4th episode. Each episode of an Arrowverse show is roughly 1 week in the timeline. So after 4 episodes of season 7, we should have gone from 5 months of Oliver being in prison up to 6 months of Oliver being in prison. I don't think it will be anything less than that, so Oliver won't be out in episode 1, 2, or 3. But it could easily be more if they wanted to. It's not that hard, but there is an issue with that. And that issue is, as I said a bit earlier on in the video, Oliver Queen is the star of the show. He, for the most part, would be why you're watching the show. You watch Arrow for Green Arrow. So if he isn't out in Star City for a large amount of the season, it would just feel like you're watching a different and not as entertaining show. Even if the prison stuff is as cool as hell, it could get repetitive. I mean, look at when Oliver was in Green Arrow last season and Diggle took over the mantle. It was fine for an episode or 2, but after that, it was just, well, nothing. It just felt like nothing was really going on, and they were just creating random storylines and plot points to make that run of Diggle as Green Arrow more entertaining and exciting, but it didn't really work and people weren't that happy with it. For me personally, the way in which it could work and have Oliver in prison for as long as they feel necessary, whether that is up to episode 5 or up to episode 15, is whether Roy's role in this season is awesome. If Roy is handled correctly, then it could work. If it isn't handled correctly, and we should get a sign of that by episode 2 or 3, whether, it's working on screen or not, then maybe alarm bells, should start ringing. But I have faith that they will do it well. Past seasons have made mistakes that this season could make, but I believe that lessons have been learnt from those past mistakes and that this season will be a hit. But speaking of this season, it has been hinted at that season 7 is being approached as if it could be its last. Not confirming that it's the last one, but they're approaching the season as if it could be their last season. And this is what Stephen Amell had to say about that. I think that's one of the things I'm getting out of what they've planned for season 7. We're not writing like we're guaranteed something beyond this, because we're not. Nobody is. I want them to really push forward and take the fact that we have a certain license and a certain respect from the fans to take some chances. So personally, I like this approach. Sure, it would be sad to see Arrow come to an end, but it would allow them to wrap things up with some storylines and characters and not feel forced to set things up and end with, like over the top cliffhangers in order to set up epic storylines for the future, which, maybe sometimes they don't live up to the cliffhanger, which, maybe season 6 did. So to have an ending that feels like an ending, but not to necessarily close the book, would be pretty cool. So essentially to have an ending that feels like an ending, but not to necessarily close the book completely. Obviously, we do have the Batwoman show coming in 2019. Like, I know it hasn't been officially ordered. They've ordered a pilot, but they haven't confirmed the season. I think we all know it's going to happen. And due to this, it has been rumored that one show will have to make way for it, because I think the executive producer of the CW said they never do more than 5 DC shows, and currently they have 5. So if Batwoman was to join, that would make it 6. And seeing that Arrow is so far ahead of the other shows in regards to its age, I mean, like the closest is, The Flash with season 5, many believe that Arrow could be the one to, shaft or be shafted to make room for Batwoman. But that is something that we will just have to wait and find out, I guess. Personally, if I had to give an opinion, just cancel Supergirl and put that show out of its misery, because it's sort of painful to watch. But anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, it'd be awesome if you could drop a like on it to show your support. Let me know in the comment section down below your various opinions on what we went over in this video. And of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. I'll catch you later, guys. Goodbye.